It's the penultimate round of the season for the ADAC GT4 Germany. We're lining up at Sachsenring on a wonderful autumnal afternoon. Thank you for joining us this afternoon, a little bit later than advertised due to some damage to the fence in the TCR race that took place before this one. It does have a knock-on effect as we look at our pole sitter, Mike David Ortman. The race this afternoon has been shortened from its regular 60 minutes to 50 minutes, with the pit stop window being brought forwards to 20 minutes into the race. We'll expand some more on that as we go through our broadcast. Welcome to the Sachsenring. It is a track that bites, and it is a track that can sometimes cause us some problems with drivers. So, sorry, my colleague next to me just gesticulating at me. I thought I'd said something wrong. A track that is quite hard work for the drivers. They run in an anti-clockwise direction. It's also a track that is very hard on tyres, so the drivers need to work really hard to preserve their tyres. We've seen many issues with tyres throughout the racing already today in some of the other classes. The cars are lined up on the grid. Quite a lot of changes in the way of drivers on the grid. We welcome a new driver, well, new to GT4 at the moment. It's the managing director of the Sachsenring, Ruben Zeltner, who's based just a few kilometers from the circuit at ADAC Motorsport, and he has teamed up with two-times German rally champion Ralf Grösel, and they are racing here in the number 19 ADAC Motorsport Mercedes, and we welcome them here to the GT4 grid. Number of other changes as well in terms of drivers in the field for this race. We'll tell you about that as time goes on. You can see formation lap is underway. The light is fading. It is an autumnal evening, and the track is dry, but the temperature is dropping. We'll have a look at the grid. It's Mike David Ortman, second of the championship. He starts on pole position alongside Jan-Philipp Springhoff. Julian Hanses is alongside Phil Dorr. That is a championship leader, fourth on the grid. Marcel Lanez and Ben Dorr line up on row 3. Row 4, Dominic Fugel welcoming him to GT4 alongside Vincent Andronacco. Pavel Lefterov lines up alongside defending champion Gabriele Piana, and then Marek Bockman and Nikolai Moller-Madsen on row 6 of the grid. Row 7, Leon Vassathura and Tom Wood, and all Aston Martin row 7. And row 8, Simon Connor Prim and Sandra Holzem, another all Aston Martin line up. On row 9, Moritz Viskerschen and Tim Reiter, and on row 10 of the grid, Ferdinand Winter and Tom Kiefer. Row 11 is Reinhard Köffler and Alex Stefanov. Great to welcome them to the grid, and Robert Haub, a new teammate for him. Check that one out. Joachim Bolting on row 12. Row 13, Lucas Meyer and Michael von Zabienski, and on row 14, Yevgen Sokolovsky and Ruben Zeltner, that we told you about already. And then bringing up the rear of the grid, Max Kronberg in the WNS Motorsport car. The cars are gridding up very quickly. Time to introduce Adam Weller, sat alongside me. It's going to be exciting.
Chaos always in ADAC GT4 Germany. I get the feeling that compacting the race distance might make things even crazier. And with this championship standing, there could be a lot of implications coming out of this weekend.
Just 1 point between first and second, 4 points between first and third. It's all to play for. We're at the Sachsenring, a track that is 3.67 kilometers around with 14 turns, 4 to the right and 10 to the left. The observant of you will have noticed they're running in an anti-clockwise direction. A track that has lots of undulation, lots of hills, lots of blind crests. It is a track that is hard to tame. This is race 9 of a 12-race season for the ADAC GT4, and we are racing the first of 2 races this weekend. A great start from Mike David Ortman as he dives into turn 1. Julian Hanses in second place, and Jan-Philipp Springhoff dropping back into third. The rest of the cars filing through a very tricky turn 1, now down to the Castrol Omega turn, and the drivers will then go uphill towards a blind crest. Just remind you, this is a shortened race 50 minutes. The pit window will be about half distance at 20 minutes into the race. Riding on board with our championship leaders at the moment, Phil Dorr at the wheel and down into 5th place. So not a great start for Phil Dorr. Keep an eye on the Toyota Supra as well. That is challenging.
Yeah, it's been a great season for the Piro Sports team in the Toyota. Marcel Linez taking the start for this one then. He is up the order into 4th place. Down to 6th place, in fact, has gone that 69 car of Phil Durr. So one of the Porsches has gotten ahead as well. Would that happen to be one Mr. Vincent Andronaco that's got a lightning start? Yes, of course it is. He's up into 5th place for Allied Racing in their leading Porsche, scrapping all the way down the field on this first lap. There's the defending champion, one of them at least, Gabriele Piana in the BMW, making up a position, but they are well down the order, just on the fringe of the top 10.
That was Pavel Lefterov that he moved past, and also Nikolai Moller-Madsen in there as well. The car's going 3 even, 4 wide down the pit straight. Here's a charge on the inside, one of the Durr Motorsport Aston Martins. The Aston Martin very much being the weapon of choice in GT4 so far this year. The car number 6 with Ewan Mackay at the wheel, scrapping with the Durr Motorsport Aston Martin. It's still going to Mackay at the moment. It is the 95 car being driven by Simon Connor Prim, who then drops in front eventually, making a move past. There's another Aston Martin behind. That looks like a Pro Sport one. Lots of battles up and down the field.
Yeah, that's Vassathera, of course, in another of the Pro Sport cars, albeit one that's a little less white than some of the other Pro Sport machinery, just to catch us out. They do that when they get additional entries, don't they? But good to see the 95 car of Hanka up a position. Ewan Mackay not quite getting the fiery start we were expecting from him. Highly experienced racer in GT4 cars over the years. It's been a mixed bag of a season, of course, for he and Tom Wood. Last time out at the Nürburgring, they were sent into a spin before they'd even really started the race on the main straight. That was certainly a hold your breath moment. We've already had a couple of them here, as you say, going 4 wide down the main straight, but we expect nothing less from GT4.
You just saw the cars coming down a part of the track that is known as the waterfall. That was at a turn 12. It is a very steep drop. We told you about Ruben Zeltner. Really good to have him here in the GT4 field. He's sharing driving duties with Ralf Grösel, who is actually a kite surfing designer, currently leading the North German ADAC Border Touring Car Cup as well. So that is a great driver combination. Good to welcome them here this weekend. And a little bit of argy-bargy going on further back. That is Robert Haub. Robert Haub, who hasn't been sharing with Gabriela Gilkova all year. A change of teammate there. Teo Noe, the driver who was so competitive and runner-up in last year's champion. He replaces Gilkova at the Drago Racing Team Zevio Mercedes.
Yeah, he was helped wide there by Max Kronberg coming out of turn 1. That's my charitable explanation of what we see there in the pictures. Meanwhile, a reflection of 2021 race 1 in ADAC GT4 Germany here. In 2021, pole position, Mike David Ortmann and Hugo Sasser in the Pro Sport Aston Martin. They converted that into a race win last year. Can they do it again here? Only twice from 6 races in ADAC GT4 Germany history here at this venue has pole been converted into a victory.
Well, I think they are the driver combination who could really make that happen. The Aston Martin really has been very rapid this year. 3 Aston Martins in the top 3 of the championship, and once again, it's proving to be very strong here. And a Sachsenring, someone's had a big moment coming out of turn 14. Now, who is that? That is the 73 car, so Alex Stefanov, the Bulgarian in the Overdrive Racing Porsche. That is going to bring out a safety car. Of that, I have no doubt. Here comes the safety car. That was a big impact coming out of turn 14. That car has been shortened somewhat.
Yes, it has. Safety car is out. That all the other 28 cars crossed the line to complete lap number 3. So he's the only driver seemingly with terminal damage out of that one. And, well, that Porsche, I think, is probably done for the weekend. That is chassis damage if I've ever seen it.
So we did say at the start of our broadcast, the Sachsenring is a track that bites, and it bites hard. It has a lot of undulation. Just coming up to that corner is 12.8 degrees of gradient. On turn 14, it is a blind crest, so I'm quite pleased he was at the back of the pack. Nobody else got involved in it. Clearly just needing a bit of time to gather himself together in the car. I imagine that's going to take your breath away a little bit. Hitting the fence with that kind of impact, carrying an awful lot of speed. The crew now just rushing over just to make sure he's okay. And our best wishes are going to Alex Stefanov, the Bulgarian, for the Bulgarian team. And he's just going to need a few moments to gather himself together. You can see he's moving around in the car, so I think he's all okay. And it looks like he is getting out of the car under his own steam. And that's always good to see. Safety is a big issue, but as already mentioned, that car, well, it's probably not going to be out in time for tomorrow, I don't think. That's taken a massive impact against the fence there.
Yeah, great to see him out of the car. That's always the most important thing, of course. The cars ultimately are only tin. Not the ADAC board again. No, he did well to avoid it. But unfortunately, I think in avoiding it, he ended up hitting the barriers. And, oh, yeah, that's heavy.
One, wasn't it? Yeah.
That's bad.
Back as well. So, yeah, that's not the kind of way that he hoped his weekend would get off to a start. And Alon Gabay, the first ever Israeli in GT4. We were hoping to see him later on today, but clearly that's not going to happen. The 18-year-old from Jerusalem is not going to get a drive of that car today, that is for sure, and potentially not this weekend. The safety car has been instructed to run through the pit lane while they clear up the mess. So it was a bit of a rush start to our broadcast today owing to all the delays and things. So let's just update on a few parish notices. First of all, we're going to give you an update of the race. It's Mike David Ortman, who was coming into this race second in the championship by just 1 point, who started on pole position and currently leads. Julian Hanses in second place, who has a new co-driver this weekend, a name familiar to anybody who watches GT Masters or GT4 or indeed British GT racing, William Tregurtha alongside Julian Hanses. He doesn't have to get through his teammates, that man. So the 2022 British GT Championship driver sits in for Theo Urberhaus, who is elsewhere this weekend. Jan Philipp Springer in P3, and he had a really good qualifying session, although he has dropped a place since the start of this race. Vincent Andronarco, well, what haven't we said about him? One of the real chargers, and he's come up from 8th on the grid, and he is now 4th on the track. Now, there's the number 19 car. Oh, no, that is just the cars slowing down to come into the pits. Marcel Lenez in the Toyota, currently in 5th place, and they, he, along with Cedric Pirot, was 4th place in the championship coming into this, some 16 points adrift. Championship leader, Phil Durr, along with Indy Doncha, who's been telling me how to pronounce his name, Indy Doncha, apparently. My pronunciation of that name changes every year. Currently in 6th place, and if things stay as they are at the moment, will not be leading the championship, which will be something of a turn-up because they have been leading the championship all year long. Ben Durr in the 007 car, who is currently 3rd in the championship, just 4 points adrift, along with Romain Leroux, teammate, currently 7th. 8th place was what I was getting to. We welcome back to the grid of ADAC, but the first time in GT4, Dominic Fugel. Last time we saw him, he was driving a Honda in ADAC TCR Germany, and a very welcome addition to the grid in the Schnitzerland Racing Mercedes alongside Tim Newser. And I have to say, Dominic Fugel did a great job in qualifying.
He did, yeah. No surprises that he's as quick as ever. Alan Gabay, incidentally, as we see the 73 car get towed away, clearly with no desires of turning its wheels anymore. He will probably be looking to eventually emulate his namesake, one Alon Day, UK, who competed in ADAC GT Masters back in 2014 for the Zakspeed team, a podium finisher in that year. His fellow Israeli driver and namesake, who has gone on to be one of the best drivers in the European NASCAR scene. And so we're not our first Israeli driver, not even our first Israeli driver called Alon in this paddock, as it turns out. But certainly great to see them, and a shame that it seems as though the 73 Cruise weekend has come to an early end. Dominic Fugel, as you said, there in 8th place, lurking behind some of our championship regulars. Anyone who's done well in touring car racing has some level of ability to get the elbows out. I'm sure he's conscious of the fact that he doesn't want to be a championship deciding factor in this ADAC GT4 Germany season, but if he gets an opportunity, I'm sure he'll get into the thick of it.
As the track clear-up operation continues, we're taking another look at the start. Now, it really was a rocket start for Mike David Ortman. He led the way into the first corner as Jan-Philipp Springel taking a deeper line in, and Julian Hanses a much tighter line, and that seems to be the quick way through that corner at the start. Riding on board with defending champion Gabriel Piana in the Hofer Racing by Bonk Motorsport BMW. Defending champion and very much still in the championship hunt. And you can see the view, a lot of traffic ahead. We've had notification the safety car is coming in on this lap. So track crew have done an astonishing job all day long here, because there has been a fair amount of work to be done in the various classes. So we're looking at replays at the moment. Soon we'll get back to live pictures, because we're going to be going racing very, very shortly. This is the view from Phil Durr, the championship leader. Didn't really get out the blocks as quickly as he had hoped, I think, and drops back a position and into 6th place. And there is the very rapid Toyota Supra. It has proven to be very rapid all season long, and is still in the championship hunt in 4th place, some 16 points adrift. Right, there is the confirmation that the safety car will be in. Ron Dobmeyer driving the safety car and communicating with race control. He's done a fair few laps of the circuit this weekend. Now, you just saw that picture of all the marbles at the side of the track. Just goes to show tyre degradation really is an issue here at the Sachsenring, and the marbles, of course, all the rubber that is rolled off the slick tyres accumulates at the side of the track. It is a real tyre eater here at the Sachsenring. The drivers now just weaving to get heat into the tyres. We're getting ready for the restart of this race. Mike David Ortman becomes the de facto safety car. He goes when he wants to go. He's decided to go early up the steep hill to turn 14. He's already on the power, and he's opened up a bit of a gap to Julian Hanses. Another car going wide. That's Andronako onto the grass. Andronako doesn't back off for anything or anyone. He just keeps his foot buried on it, but he is dropping positions as a result of that excursion. So lots of drama out of turn 14.
Andronako pushing a bit too hard to try and get a good run out of the final corner and along the main straight. It's uphill all the way on the main straight. You want a good run, but he's cost himself dear there. He's now behind Ben Durr, so that leaves him down in 7th place. Make that 6th place because he dives straight back up the inside on the second apex of Castrol Omega, but challenge hard there by the 007 car of Ben Durr. Vince Andronako bounces back quickly. He is young. They are made of rubber at that age, aren't they?
They really are. And if I was a racing driver, I would not want Vincent Andronako behind me, because he does not know the meaning of backing off. He is so rapid, he is so fearless, and he is a proper entertainer. Allied Racing know how to spot the young talent, and they've certainly done that with Vincent Andronako, along with teammate Leo Pichler. That is a very potent combination indeed. But he's still got a lot of work to do as we look at the waterfall. The car's coming down. Mike David Ortman, Julian Hanses, Jan-Philipp Springel. What did I say about Andronako? Just sails past Phil Durr. Phil Durr says, no, thank you very much. I'm coming back. And retakes the position. Andronako says, how dare you? Fighting still. Another of the Overdrive Racing Porsches there. That has Pavel Lefteroff at the wheel. And he is dueling with Nikolai Molomadsen.
Mercedes warfare between Hanses and Springop here. Two dueling teams. CV Performance Group running that 85 car in second place. And then Jan-Philipp Springop run by the Drago ZVO team, of course, in that number 8 car. They scrapped for second and third place. And I'm sure Mike David Ortman willing them on, egging them on every inch of the way. I will gladly disappear and give Mr. Sasser a nice cushion. Thank you very much.
So Mike David Ortman still leading the way, and he definitely loves this circuit. And more challenges up and down the pack. Julian Hanses still in second, Jan-Philipp Springop in third, Marcel Lenez in fourth, Phil Durr, Vincent Andronacco, Ben Durr, Dominic Fugel up to P8. Great driving from Dominic Fugel. He's taken to this, hasn't he? Then Gabriel Piana and Pavel Lefterov rounding out the top 10. The rest of the cars continuing, but Ortman looks to be opening up a bit of a gap. It was 0.568 last time across the line. I would suggest that it will probably be greater than that the next time they cross the line. Up towards turn 14 they come. Julian Hanses just keeping the Aston Martin in sight. I would remind you that there are weight penalties. Marek Bockman and Marcel Marchevitz have a 15-kilogram success penalty as a result of their win last time out at Sachsenring. Ben Durr and Indy Doncher are carrying an extra 10 kilograms as a result of their second place, and Marcel Lenez and Cedric Perrault are carrying an extra 5 kilograms as Vincent Andronacco once again dives to the inside of the number 69 Aston Martin. Do well to let him go, because there's a championship at stake here. End up in the gravel trap. It is going to have a massive impact on a championship that is so tight. Andronacco to the inside, up the blind crest of the hill. It takes some bottle to keep the power on going up there. It was pretty scary running up it. Up over the crest of the hill they come, and then down the other side. Andronacco steals the position away.
I couldn't hear exactly what he said, and I'm probably quite glad about it, but Phil Durr was providing analysis of this entire sequence to his crew there on the radio. A bit of a hip check into turn 1, and a thud to go with it for Phil Durr, who was spending his Friday valeting the Aston Martin that they have outside the Durr Motorsport pit crew, a road-going car. I somehow think it's going to need more than a valet after that thud. Up at Castrol Omega, turn 4. The inside line was waiting for Vincent Andronacco, and he didn't need to be asked twice.
Yes, Vincent Andronacco. What's that about the irresistible force in the immovable object? Andronacco sailing through, and he'd do well just to let him go up into 5th place. So Phil Durr, now that is a pass for position. That looks like Ben Durr has got past his older brother. So Ben Durr in the other of the Aston Martins, and they are fighting each other for the championship. So this could be awkward over the dinner table tonight. And the 69 car comes sailing through, but look there, Gabriel Piana in the BMW. He says, I'm going to have both of you here. Just about holding on, the 69 of Phil Durr at the front of that pack, but I'm wondering if that success penalty is really starting to slow them down a bit.
Quite possibly muscling between Piana and Ben Durr. Piana trying to hold on to this 7th place. He started the lap in 9th. He's now in 7th, but he gets tagged, and he accidentally puts his wipers on because of it. Goodness me. He's down to 8th place then. Ben Durr, with authority, muscles his way back past. I suppose when you have an Aston Martin dealership in the family, you can afford the spare parts. Nikolai Moller-Madsen now trying to find a way back past Piana. And the real loser on that was Dominic Fugel, who started the lap in 7th. I now make him 10th.
Oh, dearie me.
11th, sorry.
Poor old Fugel. That's a baptism of fire if ever I saw one. Nikolai Moller-Madsen, the 2020 champion. There's a lot of dust in the corner of our picture. Someone has been out for a little visit into the scenery. We haven't got any indication of who that might be. It looks as though they've all survived. Every lap is a cliffhanger here, isn't it? Gabriel Piana at the front of that pack. 2020 champion Nikolai Moller-Madsen behind. Then Pavel Lefterov. He is one of the real young chargers in GT4, but look behind Lefterov. There is also Nico Hanke in there as well, and of course the aforementioned Dominic Fugel. The place changes are happening so much I can hardly keep up with it.
It's really been spectacular thus far, as anticipated. We are just over 30 seconds away from the pit window opening as well, so this time by, should they desire it, it will be their first opportunity to hand the car over. Duel warfare continues as Ben gets past Phil, and this is actually the entire sequence, of course, that we saw earlier on, because Fugel had a go at both of them. Piana was keeping a watching brief in what was 9th place at the time. He got a wonderful run up the main straight. The BMW strong in a straight line. Oh, that explains the cloud of dust, doesn't it?
Wow, that was Robert Haub in the number 4 car. So the American driver in the Draeger Racing Team ZVO Mercedes. And another one, the 89 car, and it's Reinhard Koffler. We welcome him back to the GT4 series. Not quite the return he wanted. Pit window is open. Yeah, that had damage there, as you can see on the left front. So maybe a little bit of a collision somewhere for Reinhard Koffler. Whether or not that had anything to do with the off, we're not sure, but certainly there's a lot of bodywork rub there, isn't there? So there really is. The pit window is open. During this next 10 minutes, every car must visit the pits for a mandatory stop and driver change. The pit stop needs to be no more than 95, no less than 95 seconds. And the first one in is the number 18 car, Marit Bockman, handing it over to Marcel Marchevitz. So the pit window will remain open for another 9 minutes. You can see Bockman has gone in, as has Alex Hartvig. So we wait now to see what the leaders will do. This will be a strategy call, because if a car is running in traffic, the team might want to call them in early to get them out onto some clear road. If they're running on clear road, they might want to stay out till later in the window. It never works out as clean as clear road, though, because it's a 1 minute 27 lap and a 95-second pit window. They're just going to join the guys they're now a lap behind, unfortunately. So in theory, yes. In practice, I fear that if that is their thinking, they haven't thought it all the way through. A puncture on the KTM. We didn't see that in the early stages of that replay. So Reinhard Koffler had a puncture as well as bodywork rub there. There was a lot going on, a lot of damage to that KTM. And I think it might have been because of contact with Tim Reiter, because investigation has been launched into an incident between the two cars. And Tim Reiter, and there is no urgency getting out of that one. I think that is probably it for the afternoon. And Koffler walks away from the car, but the stewards are looking at that incident, and there may well be some more action incoming involving the Hofer Racing by ADAC Motorsport BMW with Tim Reiter at the wheel. Right, just to tell you, the red sign that you see alongside Patrick Steinmetz would indicate he has gone below the minimum pit stop time. So Patrick Steinmetz, who's taken over from Michał von Zabienski in the Schubert Motorsport BMW, somewhere along the way, they've gone below the minimum time. A penalty is incoming. Gabriele Piana had an armful of opposite lock there through turns 6 and 7, I should say. That's allowed Nikolai Modler-Madsen through into 8th place. We had a slowing ZVO Mercedes there. Was that Springop? I think it could have been. So the number 8 car, I'm just trying to look at where it is on our tracker, and I can't see any issues. Springop's still running in 3rd place that I can see. But we'll let you know. Oh, there it is. Yeah, it might be Teo Noe, actually. Yes, it is. Teo Noe has just taken over from Robert Haub. Car seemingly not happy. Oh, it was, that's a real shame. Last year's junior champion in GT4. We really enjoyed welcoming him back, but there is a problem there. Car number 9, Joachim Bolting, and that's another heavy impact. Safety car is almost certainly going to be incoming. So, big impact for that car. And another Overdrive Racing Porsche. Of course, the 73 car also from the Overdrive Racing stable. So they've had 2 cars in the wall in the first 25 minutes. Of course, what's more important, though, is that Bolting is okay. We can see him moving in the car. But that is another place where you don't want to go off. Full course yellow imminent. So the race stewards try not to bring out the safety car when the pit stop window is open, which is why we've gone to full course yellow. Some sensible work from the race directors. Obviously, our main priority is that Joachim Bolting is okay. And where is he? There he is, just going out wide on the waterfall. That was it. Oh, that was a big impact, wasn't it? And another overdrive racing Porsche in all sorts of strife. And again, we hope that Joachim is all okay. It looks like he just got the tail out onto the slippery stuff and then chopped back across into the fence. It was a big impact, wasn't it?
He received a tag from one of the Allied Racing Porsches. I think that's Kiefer in the 26 car.
Right.
It seemed as though the 9 car was just hesitant a little bit. Joachim Bolting was a little bit hesitant coming out of the waterfall, and that just caught out Kiefer in the 26, and a little bit of unavoidable contact, unfortunately, at a place like that goes a long way.
So the Overdrive Racing team have got their work cut out tonight. The marshals arrive on the scene. Is the driver out of the car? No, not yet. So I imagine when you've had an impact like that, you just need a few moments to get your breath back. It's going to have to wind you. That was a very heavy impact for that car. So everything is brought to a slower pace. So the full course yellow is 80 kilometers an hour. So the cars will be running at 80 kilometers an hour. Strictly no overtaking. All cars running at the same speed. So it's like somebody has just turned the power down on a Scalextric track. Every car running together, no overtaking, and just to allow the race marshals to get to Joachim Bolting and to help him out of the car. And yes, so we can see that all of the race leaders, with the exception of Julian Hanses, have taken the opportunity to jump into the pits whilst everything's running at a slower pace. Of course, it doesn't matter how hard you try, if you've got any kind of yellow flag whilst the pit stop window is open, it has the potential to really mix the field up. But our race leader is in, Julian Hanses and Simon Connor Prim, the only 2 cars that have yet to take their mandatory pit stop and driver change. And there we are in the pits. It is Hugo Sasser who will be taking over from Mike David Ortman in the Pro Sport Racing Aston Martin Vantage. Shut the door, why don't you? Let's put it out the other side. They're obviously taking lessons from Nicky Katzberg, referenced last week's GT Masters race, or the last one, at the Sachsenring. So the car there, waiting for the thumbs up and then rejoining. We did mention that Patrick Steinmetz had gone below the minimum pit stop time, and you've just noticed, oh, that's great news. Joachim Bolting out of the car. Just needed a few moments to regather himself. He'll go off to the medical centre to be checked over. That is great news. Pit stop window is going to be increased by 3 minutes. Our race stewards have decided to increase that by 3 minutes to allow any drivers that haven't pitted. But having said that, I think everyone will have pitted because Hanses and Prim are now into the pits as well. Wow. It has been lively. Oh, Finn Zulauf, yes.
Finn Zulauf out of the pits, a 1/10 of a second too quickly. Any violation of the 95-second pit window is punished. It will most likely just be a run through the penalty loop, which is on the outside of turn 2. They have to run through there at 50 kilometers an hour. That 1/10 of a second is probably going to cost him 5, 6, and with the safety car, or sorry, with the full course yellow, and lots of cars coming out of the pits as one, that's probably going to cost him about 8 or 9 positions.
I think if the pit window, the time keeps changing. Back up again. There is a chance they might go to safety car once the pit window has closed. We've seen that in the past, and if that does happen, that obviously changes the dynamic of the race as well. When you go back behind the safety car, it allows them, I think, just to get the cars back up to temperature, get the tyres up to temperature. As we see the 85 car, the brief leader, Julian Hanses, handing over to William Tregurtha. So Hanses out of the car. Tregurtha, great to have him back in GT4. He's a driver that we see once in a while, and he's alongside Julian Hansis this weekend for CV Performance. So into the Mercedes he goes, and that will be everybody who has made their pit stop. The 95 Simon Connor Prim handing over to Nico Handke in the duel Motorsport Aston Martin. So many of those I get confused, but they will rejoin. And looking at the graphic, it does look as though it will be Hugo Sassa who takes over the lead of this race once the window is closed. Robin Falkenbach doing well there, taking over from Jan-Philipp Springop, so running behind Hugo Sassa. Cedric Pirot in the Toyota, who's taken over from Marcel Lenez, and Leo Bischler, who's taken over from Vincent Andronacco. So a moment of calm to regather ourselves.
Few of them so far.
Yeah, it's been a confusing old afternoon so far, hasn't it? And the race marshals and stewards have had their work cut out. We still have another 20 minutes of this madness to continue. It's been good madness. The full course yellow is ending in 10 seconds. So I imagine that we're not going to go into a safety car. Trying to second guess anything around here is always a bit of a trick, but we're back to green flag racing, and we saw it last time out. A number of drivers can get caught out when we go to racing from full course yellow. It looks as though Finn Zulaf might have been one of those cars that has been mugged on the restart. Hugo Sassa leading the way. It's Robin Falkenbach in second, William Tregurtha in third, and then this scrap, Cedric Pirot, Leo Pichler, Indy Doncha down in sixth place ahead of Romain Leroux, Finn Zulav with that investigation, and then Michael Schrey, Stefan Bastanchiev in the number 23 Overdrive Racing Porsche rounding out the top 10.
Yes, the hopes of Overdrive Racing began with 3 cars, only have 1 left. Let's hope that the number 23 car gets to the end. Bastanchiev now at the wheel. Certainly they don't need any more business with the Porsche spare parts department this evening. There is the Toyota, though, of Cedric Pirot, now in 4th place. Car 69 under investigation for speeding under full course yellow. Indy Doncha could be in trouble.
That will be very significant. To remind you, they came into this race 1 point ahead in the championship standings. They have led after every weekend so far this year. It's going to look like a bit of a stretch the way things are going at the moment. If a penalty does come in, then Indy Doncha could end up in the penalty box, or worse still, with a drive-through penalty. We see the cars crossing the line, and we can finally just make sure we've got the order right, because it was all kicking off. It is Hugo Sassa who leads the way, 0.6 of a second ahead of Robin Falkenbach the last time they crossed the timing line, so Falkenbach very much in the hunt. The Mercedes seems to be very much a weapon of choice this weekend here at the Sachsenring.
Yeah, 2 very different cars across GT3 and GT4. Very different engines. The car we see before us now, a 4-litre bi-turbo motor, whereas in the GT3 car, they're still running the old 6.2-litre naturally aspirated warhorse that they've run for decades in various guises at AMG. But yeah, the Mercedes GT4 car just as handy as its GT3 counterpart here this weekend. Mercedes having taken 2 wins, both of them coming in 2020 within ADAC GT4 here at Sachsenring.
You saw confirmation on your screen of the 2 investigations that we'd already mentioned between that was Finn Zulauf and Patrick Steinmetz for pit stop time. A change of position. Now that is Leo Pichler, who's gone down position. So Leo Pichler struggling a bit.
Many positions. He has dropped down as far as 9th place from 5th on that lap. I thought he might be coming in with a problem. Yeah. He certainly has one, because look how slow that car is going. He might be electing to go into the support paddock, which kind of you enter that at turn 1, but nonetheless that car is clearly walking wounded.
So he took over Vincent Andronacco. Clearly that car's seen a bit of stick this afternoon.
What are you implying?
No disrespect at all. But yes, the Allied Racing Porsche definitely in trouble. So that elevates all those behind up the position. Now Indy Doncha in the number 69 car in 5th place at the moment, but under investigation. Car 31 has a penalty lap, so Finn Zulauf, he's going to be visiting the penalty box as a result of a infringement, i.e. going below the minimum pit stop time. I would expect Patrick Steinmetz to be following shortly without wishing to preach doom and gloom to Schubert Motorsport, but the evidence is before us, my lord.
Yes, indeed. The stopwatch rarely lies, unfortunately. We know that the camera never does, except for all the times where it actually does. For example, the Sachsenring is even steeper than it looks on camera down here at the waterfall. A steep task for Basanshev, as Neuser has now taken the wheel of the 15 car. That was the car at the wheel, of course, started by Dominic Fugel. It's now back in the hands of Tim Neuser. So great to have Neuser in the series, an LLS competitor of many years who also took part in the GT Winter Series. Now speeding under a full course yellow, a penalty lap. Well, I have to say that Indy Doncia, that is almost a get out of jail free card, because that could have been a drive-through. We can see Finn Zulaf taking his penalty lap. He has to drive through the penalty box at no more than 50 kilometers an hour. The box is off the racing line. It is a great way of awarding a penalty without utterly destroying somebody's race. And I would say, actually, Duel Motorsport, if they were speeding under full course yellow, have got away reasonably lightly with just a visit to the penalty box. Easy for me to say, I guess. You might be thinking to yourself, 50 kilometers an hour, 31 miles an hour. Well, I'd do that going through the village, going past the school. Well, yes, but it's a lot slower when you're at a racing circuit, I promise you. There is the Pichler number 22 car, the Allied Racing Porsche, unlikely to go any further.
I don't know what's happened there, but even the number has been scratched off the window. I don't know what kind of battle that car's been in, but I don't dare to think. So here we go. Now that is the Toyota coming downhill. Cedric Pirot at the wheel, Indy Doncia behind, but very soon Romain Leroux is going to be released to challenge for that fourth place. Doncia does duck to the inside, but he will have to take that penalty. I don't think he's done it already. So at the moment, Doncia is up to P4, but the visit to the penalty box will see him hand those positions back again.
Cedric Pirot really struggled on turn-in there into Saxon. Whether or not his speed into the corner was maybe slightly too much for the car, the tyres' current situation this far into the race, I'm not sure. We saw the graphic up for penalty lap, car number 10, pit stop time as expected. That is, of course, Steinmetz in the Schubert BMW. Indy Doncia yet to serve that particular penalty, as we get another look at the ATM project going slightly wrong. Laughter. At least they seem funny signs.
I feel bad laughing, but they were laughing first, so that's all good. Yes, now interesting that Indy Doncia hasn't taken that penalty lap yet. Now I wonder if there is an element of discussion with race control. I don't know how open race control are to negotiating these things. Maybe they have some data to suggest otherwise, but he still hasn't taken the penalty lap yet. You can see how quickly he has pulled away from Pirot, so clearly the Toyota Supra not enjoying the pace that it did, and there may be an issue. It may just be tyres. As you can see, an awful lot of tyre at the side of the track in the shape of marbles. But Doncia currently running in fourth place behind William Tregurtha in the 85 car. We will look again as he comes out onto the pit straight and as he heads towards turns 1 and 2. And that is the 48 car that is going slowly. So that is Christopher Römer, who took over from Yevgen Sokolovsky. I think they might have just been moving out of the way to let cars through and not get in the way of the battle. Right, let's look again at the number 69 car. Let's see if he goes to the penalty box this time. Yes, he does. So we'll see how much he loses. It'll be 1, 2, 3 places, maybe even 4. So that was an expensive mistake for Indy Doncia as he drops back through the pack.
And he's ended up behind the other penalty visitor at the sharp end of the order, that being Finn Zulaf. So Zulaf regains a position. He is now up to 7th place. However, Indy Doncia is going to be challenging for the next 11 minutes and 55 seconds. A good test for Finn, I would say.
Our TV producers and directors do like putting cameras in the number 69 car. I'm so pleased they don't put microphones in there. Well, not close to the driver's helmets anyway, because Who knows what might be uttered under the breath of Indy Doncia, but he has got an awful lot of work to do now as he has to work his way back up through the pack. Now, what is happening with the Toyota Supra? It does look to be ailing Romain Leroux in the 007 bomb-themed Aston Martin, putting the pressure on Michael Schrader, defending champion in ADAC GT4 Germany, is looking as well. Just looking at the graphic, you can see the gap between first and second, nearly 3 seconds. So Hugo Sasser very much in control. Robin Falkenbach in second ahead of William Tregurtha, and then a big gap to that Toyota that still appears to be struggling.
Yeah, he's struggling to get the car rotated on corner entry and really struggling to get to apexes as well. It seems as though the grip just isn't there. The front right tyre is the story of the weekend in any category you care to talk to at the Sachsenring paddock this weekend, because of so many left-handers. If you're going around a left-hand corner, all of the force, all of the load and pressure goes through the right-hand tyres, particularly the right front. And I think we're seeing an example of maybe tyres getting cooked a bit too soon in the case of Cedric Pirot's eponymously named Pirot Sports Toyota Supra.
And very nice it is too, but not at the moment. They are definitely struggling a little bit, potentially, with those tyres. We are enjoying race 9 of a 12-race season. It has been a wild and crazy race here in the ADAC GT4 Germany. The light is starting to fade here at the Sachsenring. We're running a bit later than we originally anticipated. There's still another 10 minutes plus 1 lap of this race remaining. There's some lovely brake marks where whoever it was that went straight on there, I can't keep up with it really, but we continue to focus on this challenge for 4th place. Cedric Pirot, Romain Leroux behind, and Leroux now lining him up out of turn 14 along the pit straight. He's going to pick up a slipstream. The drivers are allowed 1 change of direction to defend their position. Pirot has decided the middle of the track will do for me. He takes a higher line now into turn 1. The 007 car under braking. Leroux squeezing through and stealing that position away. It was only a matter of time. The BMW behind is also challenging with Finn Zulav. Zulav behind at the moment, and this is Indy Doncia trying to come back at the back of that particular queue of cars that we've been watching. He's got a lot of work to do from there, currently in 8th place.
Of course, the gap between the top 4 and Pirot was kind of there from the beginning, because that was there when the full course yellow was released as well, but it has only extended, and I'm sure Romain Leroux is relieved to finally have some clean air ahead of him, and one would suspect Pirot isn't going to imminently be able to catch back up and challenge. Michael Schrey and Finn Zulav getting into it further back for 6th place, but Schrey holding on to P6 for now. He's got Zulav and Indy Doncia for company right now.
And without a safety car or any problems, that's probably about as far as Leroux is going to go in this race in terms of catching the leaders, because William Tregurtha is a long way up the road, and we have a little over 8 minutes plus 1 lap remaining. The 1, 2, 3 stretching out at the front. Hugo Sasser just crossing the line now. Robin Falkenbach some 4.183 seconds behind, and then 1.2 seconds back is William Tregurtha, and then we have quite a long wait for the next car.
This is a move for 9th place on going at the back of shot there. That's Hendrik Still, who you may remember started well down towards the back of the order with Max Kronberg earlier on. However, there's a bit of fight left in Bastangiev, a little bit of maybe honour for Overdrive Racing at stake, as the 2 Porsches are knocking several shades of, well, you know, out of each other. And I must say, that tyre on Bastangiev's front left was looking very low all of a sudden.
Yes, well, Pavel Leftrov had been running quite hard on it as well, and Stefan Bastantiev looks to be struggling a little bit for traction. He said, I just need a little bit of luck to turn some of the pace into actual results, and he really does. He and Pavel Leftrov have been entertained all season long. At the moment, he's going the wrong way through the field because that car clearly struggling. The number 15 car with Tim Neusser at the wheel also there as well. So, 7 minutes remaining. We take a deep breath. We have a look. We see what's going on. It's Hugo Sasser leading the way. In second place is Robin Falkenbach, and then William Tregurtha, then Romain Leroux. We were going to have a look at the gap, and it's 8.3 seconds between Tregurtha and Leroux. So that really would be some tall order to catch up without the aid of some kind of caution or safety car. This is the fight that's going on behind Mikael Schrae, though. Finn Zulauf coming under pressure from Indy Dontje. Indy Dontje coming back from that visit to the penalty box, fighting his way on the outside into turn one. Is he going to run deep? Well, we'll let you know. The rest of the cars coming through. Right, here we go. We snap back to it, and still Dontje hasn't been able to make it stick past Finn Zulauf. He drops into line, running out of time if he wants to improve on that 8th place. Could it be we see the championship lead switching over to Mike David Allman and Hugo Sasser? Well, it's going to be something of a miracle for Indy Dontje if it doesn't happen.
Yeah, he's going to need some serious misfortune or a sudden burst of GT3 style performance out of the Aston Martin in order to hold on to the championship lead on this occasion. Looks to the inside at turn 9. I wouldn't fancy that as an overtaking opportunity, but I'm not a racing driver. Here comes Zulauf looking to the inside of Mikael Schrae in this great battle for 6th place, which I fancy Henrik Still will be a part of in the not too distant future. Started in 25th up to 9th. If he can get himself into the top half dozen, that would be massive.
So Henrik Stiller took over from Max Kronberg. What a great combination they have proven to be in the WNS Motorsport Porsche. Indy Dontje once again challenging Mikael Schrae and Finn Zulauf. Zulauf at the front of that pack now, and now here comes Indy Dontje. He's found a route past the BMW. There's some cars going wide behind. It's Finn Zulauf, then Indy Dontje defending from Mikael Schrae. This could all end in tears. Suddenly, Schrae has got that Aston Martin swapping across in front of him, and well, the change of position happened there, but it looked a little bit sketchy as they headed into turn 1.
I think Indy Dontje's definition of one move might come into question there, but nonetheless, he's still there in 7th place. He was fighting tooth and nail with Mikael Schrae. They've performed a late-stage facelift to the outgoing BMW M4 GT4 there, and I'm not sure I like it particularly. I'm not sure Hofer Racing will either. Replay of this from Mikael Schrae's perspective. Great run out of the corner from Indy Dontje, but the sheer power of the BMW, we've seen this time and time again, great in a straight line, and Indy went one way, and then he went the other, and then he dived back to the inside once more. It was stern defending.
Yeah.
There is a world where he might get away with that. It remains to be seen whether or not we're living in it.
I wonder if there was actually a little bit of contact between them, maybe just the lightest of touches. So yeah, that was an interesting manoeuvre into turn 1 for those 2 cars. Right now, the Toyota once again coming under pressure. This time it is the 31 car of Finn Zulauf who moves to the inside, and the Toyota Supra has nothing for the Porsche. They run side by side. Well, I say it has nothing. They're going to be under braking into turn 1. Suddenly the Supra looks to have come back, found the pace, but now taking the wider line into the corner. But look at this, Indy Dontje fancies both of them, and he tries to duck to the inside. Well, he's got Zulauf, but still that Toyota with Cedric Pirro at the wheel somehow stays in front. Suddenly it's the very rapid Finn Zulauf who's going the wrong way down the field, falling into the clutches of Mikael Schrae.
He's off track there on the grass to try and hold on against Indy Dontje. Great driving between the two of them to somehow avoid massive contact. Zulauf just about holds on to 6th place for now. Cedric Pirro will be saying, yes, please, I haven't got any grip left. Just let me have this 5th position. He's struggling, though, to hold on for now. Of course, he's still there in a decent championship position as well, so any points would be welcome for him. Meanwhile, Falkenbach and Tregurtha having a good scrap for 2nd place.
So those two have closed up. Mercedes versus Mercedes. It's Falkenbach at the front at the moment. Tregurtha looking to the outside. Of course, the number 8 car started on the front row of this race and has made his way back into 2nd place. Now along the pit straight they come. 2 very evenly matched cars. Not a lot between them as they head down the pit straight. A bit of light flashing to try to distract. Looks to the inside, back to the outside. Still no route through. William Tregurtha a fairly experienced pilot here against Robin Falkenbach, but Falkenbach comes out on top at the moment as they head towards the Castle-Omega turn.
I'm most impressed by Falkenbach through Saxon, turn 13. He slid the entire way around the corner. The rear end just didn't want to provide him with any adhesion in the slightest. You're on your own, mate, said the Pirelli rubber, going through 13, but still he holds on to second place. Cedric Pirot still holding on to 5th position. At the back of the queue behind him is one Hendrick. Still, he'll be looking to continue to move up into the top 6. Here comes Zulauf.
Wow, he's finally found a route past. It looks like he's going to make it stick. Or is he? Cedric Pirot not really giving up, is he? But finally, Finn Zulauf is through. And now Indy Dontje will set about that Toyota to try and gain a few more points in the background. Mikael Schrey and the aforementioned Hendrick still. Look at this, the battle for second place. The fighting is raging up and down the field. Meanwhile, Hugo Sasser is pulling away, but this is the fight to see what order they are on the podium. In second and third, to the inside goes Tregurtha. What a bold move that is. Out onto the pit straight. That is going to run Falkenbach slightly wide. A drag race towards turn 1, but I think Falkenbach still has the line into turn 1. Now Tregurtha cuts to the inside, back to the outside, doing all that he can, but he's running out of time. If he wants second place in this race, it's still Falkenbach, but Falkenbach goes deep. Here comes Tregurtha hanging it around the outside, but still holding on is Robin Falkenbach. So, the two Mercedes running side by side, and it's still Robin Falkenbach leading the way from William Tregurtha in this battle for second place.
Great driving from both parties to try and hold on to this one. Tregurtha in 3rd place then, holding on, and Robin Falkenbach there in second for now. You see the slightly restyled front end of Mikael Schrey from the contact with Indy Dontje early on. Speaking of Indy Dontje, he's finally got up the inside of Cedric Pirot, and it's done. Up into 6th place goes Dontje, but I think Pirot's tyre might have let go.
It looks like it's quite enough, doesn't it? He's got all sorts of traction issues there. So the Toyota really struggling now into the clutches of the car that is behind. So a queue of cars behind the Toyota.
I think actually it wasn't a puncture. I think that was just the effect of the marbles. He got to the outside and suddenly it was on ice. And now he's got the BMW behind him. Oh, and then maybe 12 other cars for company as well. Only slight hyperbole, unfortunately, for Cedric Pirot.
Fantastic stuff. Look at this queue of cars behind, and he's struggling into turn 14. He has no traction at all at the back. Mikael Schrey, surely as he enters the final lap of the race, is going to make a move into turn 1. The fight for second place still continues. It's William Tregurtha past Robin Falkenbach up into second place. Hugo Sasser stretching his legs by 10 seconds at the front. Look at this, 3 abreast into turn 1. The BMW goes wide, and still there is no way through. Amazing stuff.
That's dropped him out of the top 10 as far as I can tell. Amazing from Mikael Schrey, who's taken the NASCAR line all the way around the outside of Castrol Omega. Not sure whether that was voluntary. It certainly didn't work as Pirot continues to hold on to this 7th place with some of the most gallant driving I've ever seen. And of course, I'm getting my BMWs mixed up because the number 2 car is down at the bottom of this queue in 14th place. The other Hofer BMW. Meanwhile, Hugo Sasser has not a clue any of this drama happens.
So here comes Hugo Sasser up to turn 14 for the very last time in this extraordinary race for the ADAC GT4 Germany here at the Sachsenring. Across the line goes Hugo Sasser to take the win on race 1 of the weekend. Second across the line, we're expecting it to be William Tregurtha, and then Robin Falkenbach. We're still waiting for them. Such is the lead of Hugo Sasser. And up the hill come the rest of the cars. The struggling Cedric Pirot still with the cars lining up behind. Stefan Bastantiev still trying to make a move to the line. Doesn't quite make it past Mikael Schrey. It's Hugo Sasser from William Tregurtha, Robin Falkenbach and Romain Leroux ahead of Finn Zulauf, Indy Dontje in 6th place, Cedric Pirot and Mikael Schrey.
Good golly, what racing that was. You know what? I don't usually like to see the flares at the track, but in this instance, sure, it's worth it. What an amazing evening of racing we've had here. Hugo Sasser claiming the victory along with Mike David Ortman, and it is echoes of 2021. This time last year they converted pole into a win, and they've done it again in 2022.
Brilliant stuff, and the flares are burning off into the air here at the Sachsenring. Absolutely fantastic stuff from the ADAC GT4 Germany. There's Julian Hanses, the driver who is sharing with William Tregurtha this weekend. But Hugo Sasser, Mike David Ortman steal the headlines. But what a fight for second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th.
And much more besides. There you go. Here's a wrap-up of the order.
And it's Mike David Ortman and Hugo Sasser who take the win for Pro Sport Racing and the Aston Martin, ahead of Julian Hanses and William Tregurtha. Jan-Philipp Springhoff and Robin Falkenbach ahead of Ben Durr and Roman Leroux. Nikolai Moller-Madsen and Finn Zulau 5th ahead of Phil Durr, and Indy Doncher in 6th place. Marcel Lanez and Cedric Pirot in 7th ahead of Gabriel Piana and Mikael Schrey. Pavel Lefterov and Stefan Bastantiev in 9th place ahead of a very rapid Max Kronberg and Hendrik Still. Then it's Fugel and Neuser, Wood, Mackay, Reiter and Rozam, Prim and Handke, Holzem and Holzem, the Holzem twins. Good result for them in 15th place ahead of Tom Kiefer and Christian Koch, Leon Vassathura and Donna Munding in 17th ahead of Viskursen and Hartwig, Bockman and Marchevitz in 19th, Von Zibienski and Steinmetz having that penalty in 20th ahead of the rest of the field. I can't get through it quick enough. You can see the non-finishers, Joachim Bolting, Reinhard Koffler, Robert Hauben, Alex Stefanov, all having problems and not finishing the race. I need a stiff drink after that one.
I've never seen you so low in your chair, honestly. He's basically collapsed, guys. Hugo Sasser with a very calm win in what was anything but calm racing. Mike David Ortman cheering him across the line. But I tell you what, I think the person who needs a drink and a round of applause is probably Cedric Pirot, who seemingly had no grip for the entirety of his stint, and somehow still in a decent scoring position, 7th place eventually for the Toyota driver.
And there is Mike David Ortman walking across to greet Hugo Sasser. I have to say, there's a bit of a bromance going on between those two. They really are a really tightly knit team. Not only are they co-drivers, they're also really close friends. And actually, that counts for a lot. You've got to trust your teammates. You've got to work together with each other. Mike David Ortman, Hugo Sasser, they've been together as co-drivers for a couple of years, and they really know each other. They know how each other thinks and works. They're always taking the out of each other, which is always a good sign. They will be congratulating each other on the repeat of last year's win in race 1 of the year. They're going to look to see if they can make it 2 out of 2 this weekend. With that pace, I would suggest they're in very good position to do it.
If I were an ADAC GT Masters team manager, I'd be considering the fact that you lose a little bit of ballast if you have junior drivers in your GT3 car per the regulations. And that these two seem to keep winning and doing rather well, and maybe trying to sign them up for next year, because Ortman and Sasser have been fabulous all season long. They were fabulous last year too, and wouldn't it be a treat to see them in a full-time GT3 seat?
Of course, both of them have raced in GT Masters and GT3 at times, but Hugo Sasser did say at the beginning of this year that he wanted to take some time out and step back a bit to concentrate on his studies on university. So why don't you just go out and win a championship while you're stepping back? That's what I say. This is the fight for second place. William Tregurtha to the inside. This was an enthralling battle, wasn't it? Tregurtha and Falkenbach. It was something to behold.
Yeah, it really was. The Battle of the Mercedes was truly fabulous, and Falkenbach did an admirable job trying to hold off Tregurtha, but what a return for William as well. Second place on his return to ADAC GT4 Germany category, where he has seen success previously. And you know what? A late season cameo in 2022 is great for him. He's putting himself in the shop window for 2023.
Look at this for the point standings. Hugo Sasser and Mike David Ortman and move to the top of the standings when it counts. Indy Doncher and Phil Dorr are deposed, 14 points adrift, and only one ahead of Romain Leroux and Ben Dorr. Cedric Perrault, Marcel Lenez are still very much in it. There are still 75 points available in this championship. 31 points behind is going to be a stretch, but not out of the question. Julian Hanses still in it as well in 5th place, 40 points adrift. You've got defending champions Piana and Schrey in 6th place ahead of Nikolai Moller-Madsen and Finn Zulauf, Marit Buchmann and Marcel Marchevitz. Then in 10th place will be Tom Wood and Ewan Mackay, some 72 points off the championship lead. Theo Overhaus, while not being here this weekend, is going to cost him. Jan-Philipp Springhoff, Alex Hartwig and Moritz Viskurschen all tying for points, 73 adrift. In 14th place, Max Kronberg and Henrik Still with Robert Haub. Gabriel Jakova, another one not here this weekend, down in 15th place. The rest of the points come scrolling through, but it is incredibly close. It's all to play for, and it could all kick off again tomorrow when we have race 2 of the weekend. This, the penultimate round of the ADAC GT4 Germany. And there are the rest of the points just scrolling through. And great to welcome Dominic Fugel, as we said earlier, and hopefully he'll become something of a more permanent addition in this series, maybe into next year. We're just waiting for the drivers to head up to the podium, and then hopefully we can bring you the podium ceremony in a bit. The drivers we hope to see will be Robin Falkenbach and Jan-Philipp Springhoff for Drago Racing Team ZVO. They came home in 3rd place in the Mercedes AMG GT4. In 2nd place was that car there after a great battle. The number 85 being driven by William Tregurtha and Julian Hanses for CV Performance Group, another Mercedes AMG GT4. But the top step of the podium going to that formidable driver combination, Mike David Altman and Hugo Sasser for Pro Sport Racing in the Aston Martin Vantage GT4. So as we look down on the pit lane and wait for the drivers to make their way up onto the podium. I think, really? Yeah, really. I'm with you on that one.
That was enough now. Please stop pointing the camera at me. And who can blame? Sometimes at the end of the race like that, the last thing you want to do is be seen. Falkenbach due on the podium then in that number 8 crew. Drago ZVO with a mixed day, I would say,
yeah.
in GT4.
They don't actually look too ecstatic with that 3rd place. They started 2nd on the grid. Doesn't look too party-like, but you've got to be a result to end up on the podium. You want to see the trophies they're going to get. They're wild. There's Julian Hanses and William Tregurtha. What a comeback to the ADAC GT4 series for William. Julian, of course, who joined the series this year, having moved from Porsche Carrera Cup Germany. But here is that winning combination, and it is a really tight combination. Hugo Sasser and Mike David Altman to the top step of the podium and to the top of the championship standings as well. Pro Sport Racing also onto the podium as the winning constructor or winning team. Now the national anthem. So the national anthem done, and the winning drivers. What a time to move to the top of the points standings with 3 races to go in the championship. I told you the trophies were good, didn't I? They can only hold 1 at a time. They're so big. And there is the winning trophy. The winning trophies being presented. They worked hard for those.
I'd be nervous to carry those, to be honest. They're made of glass. They're very pointy. I feel like it would be an accident waiting to happen, unfortunately, in my hands.
I would be the one who drops it.
Yes.